Warning, some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. I'm a therapist who specializes in abused children. Ever since I started seeing my new patient, something has been happening. Part 2. Submitted by Michaelia Page. Thank everyone so much for the support you shared. It's good to hear from others who have battled monsters. We have quickly learned that working together is important. I will now catch you up to what has happened since my last post. After pulling ourselves together, we began to plan. I started to lay out a plan for our exit strategy, and Ally really came up to bat. Never underestimate one who has been through hell and back. Okay, we need to figure out how to get out of here. From there, we can figure out how to get rid of this thing. Ally listened somehow far away and attentive at the same time. We don't go anywhere alone. We will go to each of our rooms for the necessities. Come with me to grab the keys. We stood up together, never letting go of the other's hand. If the monster came back, it would have to take us both if it wanted one of us. I grabbed the keys, and we made our way upstairs, packing a couple sets of clothes in bags. When I opened Ally's pink backpack, drawings fell everywhere. I picked them up and noticed the ones she had drew the day I decided to take her in. Though she had never seen my house before, later that day, it was a perfect representation of my room and her childish scrawl. We were laying together on my bed, a dark figure hovering menacingly above us. I laid the drawing down and looked at Ally. She seemed so small, so young. I knew now why she had suddenly been so sad when I told her that she would be staying with me. She knew the monster knew me, and that it would terrorize us both. I then vowed that even if it killed me, I would save her. No one had cared enough to save me. This was evident by the ease the monster gained control over me again. Okay Ally, do you have everything? Yeah, I just need to put on shoes. Her voice was stronger now. The thought of getting out of here had obviously strengthened her. We headed down to the front door and quickly went to leave. It won't open. The fear on Ally's face bleached her skin pale, making the dark circles under her eyes more pronounced. I knew before I tried to shoulder the door down that it wouldn't matter, but I tried until my skin on my shoulder was bruised and raw. Ally had begun to cry softly again. The defeat I saw on her face hardened my resolve. I picked up my phone and dialed the police. They answered, but when I tried to explain, it's like I was speaking another language. They didn't understand. When I texted and called my friends and colleagues, they just replied back with random chit-chat, like they were deaf and blind to our cries for help. It was Ally who came up with the idea to call Rain. She had seen a commercial while watching TV. We googled the number, and I dialed it, sure that they would be the same as all the others, but desperate not to show it. Ally couldn't know how scared I was. I had to be strong for her. They answered, and I started talking fast, hoping they would, believe me, send someone, anyone, to help us. I told the person on the line everything. They were quiet, listening and occasionally making a sound of confirmation. After I finished, they were silent for a moment. For a breathless second, I feared they had hung up, but then the person said, "We can help you, let me transfer you to our unit that specializes in situations like yours." I let out a sob of relief. Ally rushed to me, to offer comfort, and I flashed her a thumbs up and a water smile. "Are they going to help us?" she asked. I hugged her fiercely and told her yes. Just then the call connected and a new voice came on the line. "Hello, this is the redacted task force of our organization. We have been briefed on your case, and we are glad you called. My name is Sam. Can you tell me your names?" "I'm Mel and my foster daughter is Ally." "All right, Mel, can you give me your address and a few other details in case something happens and I can't get back in touch?" My blood froze, and I did as she asked, knowing she meant that if I didn't and the monster chose to attack, we may never get help. "Great. Now, I know this sounds crazy, but we deal with this on pretty much a daily basis. Your case is unusual only in the fact that two victims, although unrelated, share a monster. Not unheard of though, I'm afraid. We are going to come out, but we have to get there quickly. The less it is allowed to feed on your fear, the easier our mission will be. What can we do? It won't let us leave." "I understand. Stay calm, don't let it make you feel like you are to blame. Do not allow it to make you feel ashamed. Stay together and give each other strength. Myself and my team will be there as soon as possible, but it's so important that you stay together and keep yourselves as safe as possible in this situation." Ally squeezed my hand and pointed to the window. I noticed then the sky getting darker. It felt like it had only been dawn an hour ago. "How long will it be until you get here?" "It will be first thing in the morning, We have quite a drive ahead. I'm sorry, our organization is underfunded for the amount of cases we receive, but I promise you we will be there as soon as possible. We are ready to leave as soon as we end this call." I was terrified and frustrated, but I understood all too well. I made sure they knew our address one last time and let them know where my spare key was hidden. I told her about the doors, and she assured me that this had been an issue before and they could get in. Just as we were saying goodbye, the banging started. God. It's coming. I can hear it. Hurry, go hide. Remember what I... The line went dead, and we heard an enraged growl shake the house. I grabbed Ally's hand, and when I saw her face, I was surprised by what I saw there. I had expected tears, fear, or maybe even sadness. What I saw was someone strong and ready for a battle. A warrior. She looked at me and said something I will never forget. "Remember, we can't let it in our heads. We can't let it make us weak. We have each other, and that is all we need to face this. I love you, you're my mommy now, and I won't ever lose you." A solitary tear slipped down that brave face of hers, and my own mirrored hers. "I know, baby girl, I love you too. We will get through this." I grabbed her hand, and we ran into my office. I locked the door, and we sat down, holding each other as banging and growling grew closer. It stopped, and all went quiet. The lights flickered 3 times, and then we were submerged in a darkness as thick as tar. Our eyes adjusted in time to see the door, illuminated by a sliver of the moon, unlock itself and slowly swing open. A gust of hot air, scented of alcohol and death rushed over us. I squeezed Ally closer and gagged as its stench washed over us. It chuckled and began to move into the room. It had grown, now it took up almost half of the room. It was still shaped like a person, but the darkness around it was alive, slithering like snakes. One reached out to me, touching my face in a mock caress. It was cold and sharp, and when it pulled away, I felt the hot blood rush down my jaw and chin. More came then. I had pushed Ally behind me and, while a few tried to reach her, most of them feasting on my blood, tangling in my long hair, and ripping away at my clothes. I couldn't help but flinch when they moved over my skin, but I refused to scream, wouldn't cry. If I did, I would break, and they would gain strength from my pain. This seemed to anger the monster, and more of its dark appendages encircled me, pulling me away from Ally. They covered every inch of me. It was painful, so painful. I let out a whimper that I had tried to hold back desperately, and I could tell it excited them. The monster's teeth flashed white in the moonlight. He reveled in my agony. I wanted to turn my head and look at Ally, to make sure she was okay, but I was terrified to draw attention to her. If it was only me he violated this night, I could get through it. It went on like that for what seemed like forever. They left no part of my body untouched, no part unbroken, but I managed to hold back my despair with hope. I could tell the monster was getting angry. Then suddenly it dropped me. I fell to the floor and jumped up, ready to run for Ally, when I saw her. She had a fire poker in her hand. She must have slowly inched over to get it while the monster was focused on me. Dark red covered half of it and a dark vapor was sizzling off of it. I saw the darkness reach out in slow motion. I started to run for her, but the monster was much faster. I heard the sound of the metal breaking and clothing ripping. I screamed then. The monster sent more of his darkness to hold me. It turned slowly, grinning victoriously, as he began to do the same thing he had done to me to her. The darkness held my head in her direction, held my eyes open, so I would have to see everything. I was filled with rage and pain, and I might have given in then, but what she said gave me more strength than anything else could have. "It's okay, Mom, I'm not ashamed. I'm not scared. If anyone should be ashamed, it's the monster. It is so afraid it preys on the innocent." The monster screamed in rage, and I braced myself for the punishment we would receive and held my pride for my strong girl in my heart. The punishment never came. There was a deafening bang, then the darkness released us as the monster hissed, crumpled in on itself, and flew out the door faster than my eyes could track. A small dark-haired woman stood in the doorway, the rising sun casting a golden glow over her features. Dark blood splattered on her, beginning to turn to dark vapor. A man and woman stood behind her, turned the other way, scanning the hallway. The other woman, who was tall and had hair like shades of fire, turned, saying all clear, then she threw us both a blanket. The dark-haired woman spoke then. "Hey, I'm Sam, and this is Kat and Alex. Take a minute, then get cleaned up and come out to the living room." Ally came to me then. We held each other and blubbered about how proud of the other we were. Then together we went upstairs and got cleaned up and dressed. Firehair, also known as Kat, followed us and stood guard patiently outside the door. When I got a good look at her face, I could see white scars and one deeper one that made her mouth turn up slightly at the edge. When we came out, she saluted us and walked behind us as we made our way to the living room. When we entered, Sam looked up and said, "Let's get to work, we have a lot to prepare for." Ally and I gave each other a look that promised each other that last night was the last time we would feel so helpless. "Let's do this."